The measuring stick just changed around here, buddy. You're looking at it.
You are now listening to the Outsiders Podcast, the most exciting and hard-hitting show on the net. And now, bringing it hard as always on the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL, here are your hosts, Clint Schweitzer and Noah Groniger.
And right here on the Outsiders Podcast, we have another big name for you coming off, a big-time guest, Danny Clark, former Jacksonville Jaguar, Houston Texan, Oakland Raider,
New Orleans Saints,
New York Giant. Danny Clark, he was a 7th-round pick from Jacksonville in 2000, but he sustained an 11-year career, overcoming the odds, really, and having a very nice NFL career, and just a great guy. Can't wait to bring him on.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he played with the Giants, Eli Manning. He played with the Saints, Drew Brees. He came up, and Kevin Hardy played at Illinois. So did Danny Clark, and Kevin Hardy really showed him the ropes and got him to become a part of that Jacksonville Jaguars team and start a great career.
2 years as a Raider, playing with Randy Moss, Ted Washington, Warren Sapp, Jerry Rice, and a lot more, guys. So we're going to go ahead and bring on Danny because we know Danny can deliver the goods. And it is our pleasure to go ahead and bring on right now former NFL star Danny Clark. Of course, you know Danny played for many NFL teams, including the Jaguars, Raiders, of course, Giants, many others in there. Danny, we appreciate you being on today. How you doing?
I am fantastic, man. I'm glad to be on, man. I appreciate you guys having me on today.
Oh, absolutely. It's June. The weather's getting warm, and we wanted to talk some football. So we figured who better to do it with than a great veteran of the NFL like yourself.
I appreciate that, man. Let's what you guys got going on this time of year?
Oh, not a lot. That's the problem. We got baseball going on. I don't think that's quite cutting it. So we're looking into OTAs. We're talking training camp. We're talking NFL. So that's where we're at right now. And starting with you, we want to go back. Of course, before you came into the NFL as a 7th-round pick of the Jaguars, Danny, you played at the University of Illinois. And I want you to go into that because your first 3 years, the program was struggling. But by your senior year, you guys finished 8-4 and won a bowl game. Like, talk about that and how you guys were able to turn it around. And by your senior season, you guys were a very formidable program.
Yeah, we had a really tough time in Champaign, man. I grew up in the south suburb of Chicago, so realizing that when I was in high school, they had the number 2 defense in the country. They had Simeon Rice and Kevin Hardy, Dana Howard, blue chipper All-Americans essentially, and again, they were the 2nd and 3rd pick of the draft in '96. So I was truly excited to come to Illinois, first of all, and to get there. And we were just not successful all our first 3 years. I guess the first 4 years I actually redshirted. So the first 4 years I was there, probably won a total of 13 games. So
wow.
Including a year when Ron Turner's first year in '97, we went 0-11. So it was just a brutal experience. But I always understood that you had to put your best foot forward, and your tape is going to be your fingerprint essentially. So I had a really productive year, but how do you be a good guy on a bad team? And essentially that's what we were the first 3 or 4 years. And then that last year, we just had a great rookie class. It was finally Ron Turner's recruiting started to take effect. And Brandon Lloyd, a quarterback, Kirk Kittner, and a number of different players, Jamil Cook, all kind of different players came out and helped us go and be successful our senior year and win a big bowl game against Virginia, 63-21, down in Miami our senior year. So we left out on the right note, and our young guys knew how to win. We began a different trend in Illinois.
You grew up a Bears fan. You got drafted in the 7th round by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Were you kind of hoping maybe you didn't get drafted and you could kind of pick the Chicago Bears to try out for?
Yeah, I think I've always had that issue. I don't know if it's been in my back pocket. I've always dreamt of being a Bear. Wilbur Marshall, I guess the Bears won the Super Bowl the year I started playing football. So I started playing in 1986. Their Super Bowl was 86. 85 season, of course, and that became my inspiration of being a Bears fan or Bears player, essentially. And Otis Wilson, I had an opportunity to meet Otis Wilson
But you didn't get to do that. You end up with the Jacksonville Jaguars. You play with greats like Mark Brunell, Fred Taylor, Jimmy Smith, Keenan McCardell. And talk about how Kevin Hardy and Hardy Nickerson, linebackers for the Jaguars at the time, helped you out and helped you grow as a linebacker and a player.
Oh, man, it was unbelievable to see, Hardy Nickerson and Kevin Hardy, essentially like my big brothers from Illinois. Again, he was a second pick of the draft. He got there. And they were more so leaders by example. They didn't talk to me a whole lot. I was a seventh-round pick, and leaving college, I'm thinking like, oh, well, I'm going down. My big brother's going to take me under his wing. Well, in fact, he taught me the exact opposite of how you go down and you create your own opportunities. And that's what Kevin Hardy and Hardy Nickerson was another guy that basically they led by example. They were, they spoke when needed to be spoken to, but more importantly, they showed it out there on the field. And Hardy Nickerson is a guy that I really emulate because of how hard he hit guys out there on that field. So, again, I just took a little piece of their game and added it to mine. And as I was a young linebacker trying to butt up and become a veteran, I took a lot of, pieces of their characteristics of their game and added it to my own.
And, of course, after your stint there in Jacksonville, you wind up in Oakland with a talented group left over, from the Bill Callahan era, from the John Gruden era originally, but Bill Callahan, of course, who was fired after the 03 season, I believe, and then you guys with Norv Turner, the talent's still there. You guys, Jerry Rice, Warren Sapp, Rich Gannon, Charles Woodson, Nnamdi Asomugha, Randy Moss, Ted Washington. Talk about that, your experience with the Raiders, and why you think that that organization at that time was not able to get back on track after being in the Super Bowl just 2-3 years earlier.
Well, I can just take my hat off to the late Al Davis just for giving me the opportunity to become a full-time starter. First time I got the opportunity to be the guy, the team captain. Essentially I was the, Pro Bowl alternate in 04, just everything that I dreamt of as being a seventh-round kid coming. They usually put a label on you when they draft you. He's a seventh-round kid. He'll be a special teamer for his entire career.
Yeah.
And Al Davis gave us the opportunity in Oakland to get out there and be the man. Napoleon Harris got hurt and got me the opportunity to compete with him for the middle linebacker position. And so, that was a fantastic thing. And to play against, Warren Sapp, which is one of my big brothers, and Ted Washington, and there were so many names. Charles Woodson, to play on the defense with these guys, and the peers appoint me as team captain. I think that speaks volumes as far as not just what you do on the field, but what you do off the field. And that was the greatest opportunity at that time in my career that I could truly appreciate. And you know what? I knew that I was budding into a above average linebacker, and I was very excited about it.
Can you talk about your time with Randy Moss? He gets to Oakland, and his stint there doesn't go quite well. Do you feel like some people think he kind of gave up with the Raiders because they weren't winning? What were your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that Randy can be, in the prime of his career, was one of the best wide receivers. And being a teammate with him, he was ultra competitive. I know he would compete about throwing tape in the trash can. I mean, he would compete about how many plays he would win offense versus defense. So I know it's the type of competition that's built within his spirit. But again, it didn't work out. I think that he could have done more as a receiver, but I don't think that he had the proper help or what the case may be. But he didn't play his best football in Oakland, and we all understand that. But it never, I'm so proud to see him go out there and play again last year. So, and the team accosted Bay at all costs. So, Raiders fans really didn't like that. But Randolph is what I call him. But Randy, just one of my really good friends. Got a lot of respect for him. But that couple years in Oakland probably weren't his best years, of course.
Did you ever get the best of Jerry Rice coming over the middle during practice?
Absolutely not. I got, my highlight for two of them. I was a quarterback all the way up until my freshman year at Illinois from 7th grade. So I was a quarterback. My dream was to be a quarterback in the NFL, and Joe Montana was my favorite. When I signed to the Oakland Raiders, I bought the same exact truck, it's identical, Porsche Cayenne 2006 Essentially, in pregame, I would line up and I would throw balls to all the receivers just to get guys going and live out my quarterback fantasy. So, of course, I've thrown about maybe three or four touchdowns to Jerry Rice in pregame. So that's my claim to fame with Jerry. I can appreciate him forever for that.
Of course, in your career, you were involved in 2 NFC Championship games. You with the Saints in 2007 and with the Giants in 2009. Talk about that experience. I've never were able to play in a Super Bowl. Of course, you joined the Giants in 2008, this year after they won the Super Bowl. Of course, the David Tyree miracle play against the Patriots. But in 2008, I mean, you become a starter in New York despite that, due to injury. And just talk about the NFC Championship games. Got close, but not quite to the big one.
Right. Well, I will be the first one to tell you, I can be like Charles Barkley in the NBA. I can care less that I have not won a Super Bowl. I have a very fulfilling career. In 2006, and I guess my most experience, or a memorable experience, is actually signing with the Saints in 2006, right after Hurricane Katrina. And of course, that place is in rumbles as far as what the state of the city. Of course, there's tanks riding around, people without homes, living in FEMA trailers. And here we are, everybody's running from that town, and then Sean Payton and Drew Brees, myself, and Scott Fujita, people are coming in town to try to rebuild a franchise and essentially rebuild the city. And that game we played on September 25th, 2006 against the Falcons, and, Gleason blocks the punt, and Curtis Rhodes catch the ball and dunk it over the goalpost. Just the loudest, most surreal experience I've ever had in football. And that was the season that we went to the NFC Championship against the Bears, my hometown, January 21st, I believe. And really big game. I think my fellas couldn't handle the cold weather. I was trying to tell them ahead of time, but when I tell you that season was magnificent, and I'll never forget that. To me, it measures up bigger than the Super Bowl, but of course I've never been to a Super Bowl, so I can't only imagine. But it was just the greatest experience to affect the entire community and city. When people didn't have homes, they had some football game to go to, and they were excited about that. So, and then going, I played there in 06, and then we go out to, when I signed to the Giants right after the Super Bowl against the New England, of course, the Texans you spoke about. There's no place you would rather want to be than New York City after winning the Super Bowl. And I started off in the smallest market in Jacksonville in 2000, and to end up in the largest, the media mecca, essentially, in New York City was the most amazing experience. And, especially being the Kings of New York after winning the Super Bowl, there was nothing that we could not do, essentially. And again, I became a starter. Every team I've been on, I had to earn my way onto the ball club, first of all, and compete to start. And I've done that, 9 of my 11 seasons. So I can really, really appreciate the career I've had just because of there was not one time where anything was given to me, and I can only appreciate what I worked for. So New York was fantastic after the Super Bowl. Michael Strahan retired the year I got there. Ended up becoming my mentor on so many levels, from television to radio, and just as a man and as a family man. So I think that's one thing that I could always appreciate him. And even though we didn't get to play together per se, we are just as close as we did. So I can only thank him for that as well.
Now, you also played with the Houston Texans in 2007, then again in 2010. The Chiefs just signed 2 players that you played with the Houston Texans, and Dante Robinson and Zach Dials. Can you just talk to us about them and their game and how important they were to your Houston Texans team?
Well, first I have to speak on my 7th rounder, man. I was drafted in the 7th round. I created this fraternity of fellas called the Lucky Seven, and every 7th rounder I've played with, I've always followed them and kind of gave them extra inspiration to be a little bit more than the next guy and be more dominant and not just make a team, but become a starter and make your mark within this league. This team is made up of so many guys like that, and Zach Dials is one of them. That's my little brother. Just signed with Kansas City. Had over a special teams guy initially, and getting out there and starting at linebacker. You can play all three positions, very versatile, can defend against the pass. And, I'd take my hat off to him because, again, I know he had to climb his way up through the basement, and essentially he will leave out the attic. That's something I'll always say. I came in the league through the basement, but I left out the attic. And, Dante Robinson is another one. He's a guy, South Carolina guy, very talented. Played with him here in Houston, and I think he made Houston his home, but he's very athletic, and he's a tough guy as well. So I'd like to have him and see him be successful in the AFC West this year.
Well, Danny, you talk about, coming in through the basement and out through the ceiling. I mean, you're a guy that was a 7th-round draft pick. You had an 11-year NFL career, which is rare for a draft pick, that low. Talk about just, in general, what it took for you to be able to continue to make rosters, to continue to fight your way into starting positions, and to have that 11-year career because, like I said, it is so rare for a 7th-round pick.
Well, I think that, you have to have a competitive edge. I think that it doesn't come easy for you, and a lot of guys don't count on you being the guy that kind of use you as a number. When you look at the league, there's a 53-man roster, and when you look at the 7th-round pick, you probably think he either is going to be a practice squad guy and won't make it. So when you get the opportunity to fly below the radar, you go hard in everything you do. I had so many fights my rookie year because I would not take it easy on the starters and the veterans and the Tony Basellis of the world, the Kyle Brady's. And so that whole concept, these people didn't like me as a young guy, but as they watched me progress through the league, they was like, man, this kid will not let up. And that's been my motto as far as playing in the NFL is you have to do a little bit extra, a little bit more than the next guy, than that 3rd-round pick or that 5th-round pick. Because a GM or a recruiting staff or, the pro personnel does not want to look bad about the guy they picked ahead of you. And so you got to make sure your job is to make them look bad and the teams that passed you up. And so, I played with Antonio Pierce, one of my best friends. Again, he has a list of every guy, every linebacker that went before him in the 2001 draft. And so I did the same the year prior. I was in the 2000 draft. Every guy that I saw a name go off the board on draft day, I just watched him, and I was on his heels, and all the opportunities they were getting, I wanted to make sure I seized the opportunity that I was getting. Every opportunity I got, I tried to seize it and make the most of it.
Well, that's wonderful. So glad you had such a great career in the NFL. And before we let you go, of course, we're here in Kansas City. And as a Raider, you played against the Chiefs for two years. I mean, give us some of your memories of playing here at Arrowhead or playing the Chiefs out at the Black Hole. Just talk about what it was like playing a rivalry against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, I think my rivalry stands with going against Tony Gonzalez on a number of different occasions, and I'll never forget the compliment he's given me. He said I have the hardest head that he's ever played against. And again, I just used to go against him and Jason Dunn, the wide tight end or whatever. And so both of those guys were dynamic. And of course, Tony is a first ballot Hall of Famer, coming back for I think 17 years this year. So just to go against a guy of that stature that's changed this game, as we know it at the tight end position, is one of my big honors. And then going against Waters, the guard, 54-man, the guy used to block us so hard, block me so hard, and he would laugh while he's doing it. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's not that easy, but he evidently made it pretty easy. So, man, it's just, I remember, I got some great stories with these guys. Larry Johnson being a running back there, Priest Holmes, I played against him when I was in Jacksonville. So it's just so many experiences I have with against the Chiefs. And Dick Vermeil is one of my favorite coaches of all time. We spoke at a mutual colleague's funeral a few years ago, and we connected about so many years of having a game plan against each other and playing a chess match. So I've been truly blessed to play against some of the greatest guys in Chiefs history. It's been truly a pleasure to go against you guys.
Oh, we know you have a music production company, Family Biz Entertainment, looking for R&B, hip-hop, pop artists, and you've also wanted to score movies, and we heard that you actually got to do the music for a video game as well. Can you just give us some more info and detail about that?
Yeah, Family Biz is a mom and top. It's homegrown in the south side of Chicago, and we got a passionate group of fellas that basically believe that we can do, we can make music for anything. And our ultimate goal is, again, to score movies. But we said earlier, we've done a lot of things with local guys. We've stretched out in every city I've played in. I've made sure we made some great connections and producing music for people. And so that's Family Biz, ENTBeats.com is our website. Family Biz, ENTBeats. And it's just, man, it's a great concept. There's a lot of passionate guys that grew up in music. And the top three of us in there, either in band or played an instrument of our choice. So it's been just it's something that lives within us and we want to share with the world.
Well, Danny, that is absolutely great. To see guys that have such promising careers and go on to do positive things with their lives after football. Always great to hear. I tell you what, you've been so incredibly insightful today. Love having you on. Love hearing all the stories. And let's keep in touch because we'll have some real football, some football that's some current stuff coming up here as we get further into the summer. So let's reconnect as the football season's about to start, and we'll talk about some NFL 2013. But I'll tell you what, Danny, thank you so much for joining us. Great stuff, and let's keep in touch, Mike. Like I said, you've got some great just great stories, great stuff. We appreciate it.
No problem. I appreciate you guys having me on. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, thanks a lot. Take care.
All right, now.
Wow, just great stuff from Danny Clark. Thanks so much for being on the show here on the Outsiders Podcast. That's what we do. We talk to the former athletes. We talk to the current athletes because we want to give their story to you guys out there, the listener.
Yeah, he talked about Randy Moss. I wanted to see what he thought about Randy's time in Oakland because most people think that Randy just kind of gave up because the team wasn't winning. He said Randy was a very competitive guy. He'd want him on his team anytime. He loved Randy Moss, one of the best receivers of all time, maybe behind another one of his teammates, Jerry Rice. And he didn't get the better of Jerry Rice during practice, unfortunately.
He did. Hey, he told the truth. He told it like it is. So Danny, very classy guy. We'll definitely have to bring him on as we get closer to football season. But right now, this is the Outsiders Podcast. Clint Schweitzer, Noah Groniger. Thanks a lot for listening.